Welcome back to the channel. I'm Antrell. Welcome back. So today I have another juicy thriller for you. If you guys like books, if you like tea, if you like fashion, if you like vlogs, you're in the right place. Okay, so today's book is something that, or a book that I have been anticipating. And when I tell you guys, this book has all of the suspense, the thrills in it, and even some supernatural stuff in it. It is good. It is good. So if you're ready, I think you should stay tuned. Okay, so I hope you guys are ready for this one. This is going to be a long one. I'm thinking I might break it up, or I might power through this one video. I'm not for sure. We will see. We will see. I'm just going to warn you already. Get your snack, get your beverage, get your tea if you have it, and just prepare yourself. This is going to be a long one, but it is so good. Okay, so the book that we're going to discuss and go over today, so this is a little bit of a spoiler. We're going to go through it. And if you have not read it yet, just pause it here, go and read it, go and listen to it, and then come back. And then you can see what I'm talking about and agree, disagree, whatever. Yeah, so let's just get into it. So this book is called Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. And when I tell you guys, this book had everything in it that I wanted. It had everything in it. A little bit of a trigger warning. It does discuss the use of substance. And if you're a little triggered by that, I wouldn't say that you would want to stick around, because it has a lot to do with that. Or if you're a person that has a trigger to abduction involving a child, you might not want to continue with this video. But I wanted to give those up front because this book is good. It is so good. And I'm not even sure if I'm familiar with Jason Rekulak, but I feel like when I came across the title, and I've heard a lot of good things about it, I just went and took a leap of faith, and I said, you know what? I'm going to listen to it. We're going to see what this is all about. So it did not disappoint. So guys, let's get into it. So we have our main character, who is Mallory Quinn. Mallory Quinn is fresh out of rehab. And Mallory is currently right now in a sober house, and she's looking for employment. She's looking to evolve. She's looking to move on from the sober house and start independent living by herself, because she is currently in recovery, and she's been in recovery for, I'm thinking maybe about 6 or 5 years now, and she's feeling pretty strong. Mallory lost her sister in a car incident, and Mallory had been very badly injured herself, but she survived the actual car accident. When Mallory came to in the hospital, she was notified that her sister had passed away in the car accident. Mallory began to recover from her injuries, and Mallory was prescribed a very strong drug. And this drug just really took the edge off of life, and it also took the edge off of her pain. But once Mallory became pain-free, she still relied on the pain medication. So Mallory was attending college at this time. Mallory was a very good track star runner, and she was thriving. But Mallory was also very heavily dependent on the medication that was prescribed to her for her pain from the accident by a doctor. Mallory decides that She, you know, will continue the prescription and see if she continued to get refills. But the doctor said, well, your pain has gone away and I can't give you any more prescriptions. So Mallory attempts to purchase substance on the street. And of course, this substance, it's okay for her, but she begins to not be able to afford it. So a friend of hers, or a so-called, I guess you would say an acquaintance, I wouldn't even say a real friend, introduced her to a cheaper drug, which was 2 different drugs mixed together. And Mallory began to use the substance and became very addicted, which landed her into rehab. So Mallory does the rehab, she does her steps, and she's in recovery now. So Mallory was alerted of a position as a child care provider, or like a nanny, or someone to babysit a child while the parents went to work. And she was introduced to the couple by her sponsor. And Mallory thought to herself, this will be a great start to me being able to get out on my own and really start to evolve and prove that I can get out into society and live a normal life. So there was an interview that was going to be held for Mallory. She just needed to come out and interview and see if she qualified for the actual position. Mallory goes to the interview, and this is a nice little quaint area where the couple lives. The couple's name is Ted and Caroline, and they have a 5-year-old named Teddy. That's such a cute name. That's such an adorable name. I love it. Getting to the home, the wife, Carolyn, she is so in awe of Mallory because of the way that she speaks to her. They have great communication and she's loving her. So the husband is pretty stern. He's just like, no, no, no. Well, I'm not sure. And he seems like he's just really against Mallory every step of the way. It's almost as if that he's trying to block her from getting the position. And this is so weird because he doesn't even know her. But the wife is falling in love with her. She loves how they communicate again. And they allow her to meet their 5-year-old son, Teddy. Teddy comes out and Teddy really just holds his head down and is not really communicating with Mallory at this point. And she's trying to communicate with him and let him know really that she's his friend. She's not a threat. So Mallory continues the interview with Carolyn, and Carolyn takes her around their property, shows them the house that they live in, also shows Mallory where she'll be living. And this is a nice little cute little cottage that has been remodeled. It has great bedding, it has a great bed, it has a little small kitchenette, it has a small bathroom, but everything is just right for her, like her own little apartment. And Mallory is picturing herself already moving in. She's in awe of the place. And of course, it's a great big huge, it will be a great big huge upgrade from how she grew up and where she's coming from, which is the sober house. So she's excited. She's hoping she gets this opportunity. And also Carolyn begins to explain the pay and things like that, on what to expect. And Mallory is really excited. Carolyn is also throwing in that, hey, if you take this position, if you say that you maybe want to go and take a little trip somewhere, do something, I'll also pay for it. That's sweet. So Mallory is really hoping at this point that she gets the actual position. For this tour, Mallory is giving house rules, 11 house rules by Ted and Caroline. This was a little extreme to me, but I get it. I understand. A lot of the times when parents are working, they just want to make sure that the person who might be watching their child cares for them the same way. So I kind of got it. But once the rules start getting enforced, or not enforced, once Caroline and Ted start going over the rules, I thought it was a little bizarre, but not really, because it seems like it's almost the typical things that a parent would do. So let's just get into it. I'm gonna read them all. Let's go through some of these rules. And you tell me if this sounds a little bit extreme, but these were the rules that Mallory was given. Number 1, no drugs. Number 2, no drinking. Number 3, no smoking. Number 4, no profanity. Number 5, no screen time, meaning no television. I'm thinking probably without the permission of the parents, because they have to use their guidance and what they feel is appropriate. Number 6, no red meat. That could be understandable. Number 7, no junk food. And this is meaning that if she wanted to, there would be exceptions made. So if she wanted to make Teddy a snack, or if she wanted to buy him ice cream, she would be able to do that. They really just don't want him drinking soda. The next is number 8, no visitors without permission. I mean, no visitors without permission. We're talking about a grown woman here. Okay. I guess they want to keep their son safe, that I'm thinking about it. But I mean, I don't know how I feel about that. But I guess if I'm bringing somebody onto my property, I kind of do want to have a little bit of a watchful eye on who's going to be showing up there. And then too, we have to take into account that Mallory is going through sobriety right now. So that might be a reason why. So number 8 is no photos of Teddy on social media. This is understandable. If I'm not taking pictures of my kid, you can't either. Number 10, no religion, just teach science. Interesting. And number 11, have fun. So this led Caroline to explain her no religion and science rule. And she said that, well, what do you say if someone sneezes? She said gesundheit, or to good health. And Mallory was thinking to herself, okay, this is odd, but I have to respect it. And Caroline began to notice her interaction with Teddy while she was there on the interview, and she seen that Teddy warmed up to her. Him and her were playing, they were talking. She was looking through some of Teddy's artwork, pictures that he had drawn, and he had normal, regular 5-year-old pictures, except for there was one that was kind of odd. And it was him standing next to a tall woman who had sunken eyes and long hair, and her mouth was like in an O type of look. And that looks like a ghost to me. That is a ghost to me. And Caroline was shocked. She thought that she had taken or removed all of the mysterious pictures that he had drawn and taken them out of the bunch. It sounds like to me she was kind of curating the visit, and it wasn't really truly authentic. I don't know, but that was kind of weird. So she noticed that, but she thought that it was beautiful that him and her were being able to socialize like they were a good match. She felt really good about it. Caroline did. Mallory was getting ready to leave from the interview, and Ted, the husband, was still being very, very stern. He was not being nice, and he was stating to her, well, we have all your information on file and we'll be in touch. And Caroline was like, you know, excited, and I think you have the job and things like that. And then Ted was, oh, no, we'll call you and we'll let you know. And so she's leaving out, and she's hoping that she has the job. So as she's leaving, who comes to run up behind her? Teddy. Teddy runs up behind her. He gives her a big hug, and then he hands her a picture. And it's a picture of him and her. She says, "Teddy, I love it. I'm going to hang it up when I get back to my house." And then she leaves. Mallory moves in to her little cottage. She gets the job. So let's just say that. She gets the job. She packs up all her things from the sober living, and she moves into Caroline and Ted's home to be a caregiver for Teddy, 5-year-old Teddy. And she moves into the cottage, and she's so excited for this chance, this opportunity. She's getting settled in her cottage and things like that. And she also gets an opportunity to meet with Teddy and talk to him and the parents and things like that. So the first day of the position, she is actually working with Teddy, and you know, she's feeding him. It's a routine. So Teddy eats. He has his breakfast in the morning. He has his lunch, and then he has quiet time. Quiet time is when Teddy goes to his room. He draws. He does his little thing, and then he comes back to get ready to greet his parents who are coming from work, and then he'll eat dinner and that. So while Teddy is getting ready to go to his room for quiet time, Teddy starts drawing. You know, this is his regular routine when he has quiet time. And he brings out a drawing, and Mallory sees it, and she's just thinking to herself, this is very odd. It's disturbing almost. And it is of a woman being dragged by her hair into the woods. I don't know about you, but I would definitely be weirded out if a 5-year-old would making drawings like that. When Mallory asks Teddy about the drawings, he explains that it is Anya, his imaginary friend, who's in these pictures. And she just can't understand really why a 5-year-old child is drawing these types of pictures. And over time, they're playing and they're doing their daily routine, and these pictures are getting more and more graphic. They are getting to the point of where she's showed on these with these pictures that Anya is being dragged into the woods. Anya is being strangled. And this is becoming very disturbing for Mallory. Mallory brings this to the attention of Teddy's parents, Ted and Caroline, just to let them know, like, hey, I'm noticing all these different strange pictures, and it doesn't seem normal to me. It seems as though Teddy might be experienced or has experienced something, or something's going on, and that this probably would need to be investigated. And she's letting them know how these are disturbing and things like that. And they're really brushing it off as no big deal. And the father blames himself because he reads books that are really not appropriate in Caroline's eyes, and that might be giving the son Teddy these thoughts to get him to start drawing these portraits. And he's stating that the husband's finally given in and say he won't read the books anymore. And the wife is very angry. She's upset. She says that this is aiding the boy to draw these pictures. And they're having a discussion with Teddy and saying to him that please don't draw these pictures. Teddy's drawing pencils and pads of paper have been taken away from him, and it has been replaced by an iPad. And not just an iPad where he has screen time, because you know the parents are totally against that. It is learning video games, and he's very consumed with that, and it soon takes his mind off of drawing pictures. Mallory one day is greeted by a neighbor of Caroline and Ted, and she is yelling Mallory's name. Mallory, is that your name? I can only imagine just a neighbor just rushing to like greet you like that. You're like, hey. The neighbor's name is Mitzi. And Mitzi's stating to Mallory, oh, so you're the new babysitter. And she begins to introduce herself, and she lets her know she's been over here for quite some years and she's seen a whole lot. And she stated to Mallory, I would have easily just watched the child if Caroline and Ted had asked me nicely and they were nicer to me. So it looks like she had a little bit of animosity against the two, but she was expressing that to Mallory. And Mallory was just noticing that this Mitzi is a very interesting woman. She had interesting jewelry on, clothing on. She was very, I would say, eccentric is how you would describe Mitzi. Mitzi also explained that she is a psychic, and she does readings for people. So people come to her home to get these things done, and they have a little discussion and then they go about their way. Next day comes and Mallory is playing with Teddy in the pool, and they're playing Wizard of Oz. And this is one of his favorite things to do, is play out the characters in the movie Wizard of Oz. This is one of the movie that he has seen, and they have lots of fun and they play this game when there's a landscaping crew that comes to the house to maintenance the grass and things like that and their lawn. And Mallory is just shocked, but the gentleman walks up and he states who he's with, and his name is Aiden. And then Mallory, she introduces herself, and hi, I'm Mallory Quinn, and they have a awkward encounter, but he's just making her aware that he's there to maintenance the lawn and mow the lawn and things like that. And then Teddy seems to know Aiden already and is really excited that Aiden is there. And it turns out that Teddy has a big fascination with the lawnmower that Aiden rides to mow the lawn around the property. And Mallory's just noticing how, well, she really thinks that he's cute. So, and she sees that he's like strutting his stuff and really showing off while he's mowing the lawn. So he really is not just doing this for Teddy, but he's also doing this for Mallory. And she notices, and she's really not trying to pay it too much attention, but she notices him. Now that Teddy is not able to draw his portraits, Mallory is still finding these portraits in her cottage, on her front porch. And this is bizarre to Mallory because she doesn't understand. Teddy is no longer drawing, and if he was drawing, how could he walk over to Mallory's cottage and place them on her dresser, place them on her front porch? So she's automatically thinking this has to be the job or the work of the parents. And if it's not, who in the world is doing this? Mallory goes searching for answers, and she goes to libraries and things like that just to find out maybe if her cottage is haunted, if the property is haunted, if the house that Caroline and Ted and Teddy is living in is haunted. She wants answers because she's not understanding why all this kooky weird stuff is happening and haunting her as well as her surroundings. She wants answers. So she goes out and she attempts to find answers. She ends up at a library where this library, I think library says bookstore, if I'm not mistaken, it's like the hot spot for all the locals in town. So it is like a huge crowd of people, and there's karaoke going on and sheet cake going on and things like that. And it's a lot. And then so she comes across Aiden. Aiden is the guy who does the lawn for the family, and she runs into him and they hold a conversation, and she has some books that she had picked out, and she kind of doesn't want him to notice. But she notices the book that he's reading, and he's reading like a Star Wars book or something like that. And he explains that he's a real geek when it comes to that type of stuff, which is super cute. And that she has all these psychic books and paranormal books and things about child development. So she's looking as though maybe she could be investigating or doing some research to make her a better, I don't know, babysitter. But she's kind of embarrassed to have him see these books in front of her. But they discuss them, and she tells him her suspicions and why she is trying to identify with some of the things in these books, because she has some weird things that are happening to her. Mallory leaves the library, she heads back home, and she wakes up to the next day. So she decides that after her taking care of Teddy, she's gonna make a visit to Mitzi again. And she goes to knock on Mitzi's door, and she's stating to Mitzi, I need to tell you something, and I need for it to be just between us. And Mitzi agrees, and they have a discussion. And Mallory is telling Mitzi that she is experiencing all this paranormal stuff that is happening at her cottage. And she doesn't know why, but she was hoping that Mitzi could provide her with some answers. And of course, Mitzi begins to talk. So Mitzi begins to tell Mallory about a woman who used to live on the property by the name of Annie. And Annie came to live with her relatives and take care of their small kids. It had been told around town that Annie had been gone missing from the property, and people still did not know where she was till this day. And it has been decades after this has happened. And Mitzi gives Mallory an idea. She says, well, how do you feel about having a seance? Mitzi calls it a gathering, where she used a spirit board in Mallory's cottage to summon the spirit that is in the cottage. And Mallory is a little hesitant. She kind of wants to do it, but she's thinking to herself, she knows that the family, Caroline and Ted, does not really care too much about Mitzi. They don't have strong feelings about her. They don't really like her all like that, because Mitzi has known to dabble into substances, and they don't like that. Mallory just states, no, I'm not gonna do that. I just wanted to find out some information, you know, I'll give it some thought. And Mitzi's like, well, if you change your mind, I'm here, you know where to find me. So Mallory leaves, and she goes back to her cottage. One day she's taking care of Teddy, and she makes him a sandwich. Teddy barely finishes the sandwich, and now it's time for quiet time. So he's going up to his room. He has his iPad in his hand. He goes into his room for quiet time, and he's on his iPad. Meanwhile, Mallory is in the living room, and all of a sudden she dozes off. She's awakened by Teddy, and Teddy is saying, Mallory, you were sleeping. When she's awakened by Teddy, she notices that she's been sleeping for 4 hours. And she doesn't understand how she overslept, or she slept for that long, because that wasn't normally like her. She wakes up, and when she realizes there are drawings all over the living room, and they're just like little sequences of events. Bunny rabbits, wings, woman being dragged, little girl running away after the rabbit. And it's just all types of little sequences of pictures that come to find out, Mallory looks down at her hand and it's black. And she's noticing, I think I might have did this. And she's very frantic. She doesn't understand at this point what in the world went on. And just as she's thinking, she's like, Teddy, you have to help me. You have to help me clean this. Your parents will be home soon. And before she could even get things together, the mom, Carolyn, is pulling up to the home and getting out of the car and coming into the home. And immediately, Carolyn is upset. She doesn't understand. She's stating that, who did this, Mallory? And Mallory is stating, Teddy, did you do this? Did you do this? Teddy stated to her, no, I didn't do this. I didn't do this. And so they're noticing that the pictures are very, very structured. They're like really good. And the drawings were so good that they knew that a 5-year-old could never, first of all, reach that high to make these drawings, and that it had to have been an adult that did it. And Mallory is saying to herself, I don't have skills to draw. I really don't understand how this happened. But she has the black soot and everything on her hands from the pencils. And so at this point, Caroline is upset. So she's so upset, and she doesn't understand why Mallory would do something like this. When Ted gets home, they have the tough talk, and they're stating to Mallory, well, you know, I think it might be time for you to go. It just doesn't seem like you're suitable enough to take care of Teddy, and this is not going to work out. So Mallory still isn't understanding, but she understands their concern. They are terminating her employment with the family. So Mallory leaves. She feels defeated, and she goes back to the cottage to try and get everything together. So and meanwhile, while she's going over things and preparing herself to pack, she gets a call from her sponsor. Her sponsor is stating to her, Mallory, what happened? Did you relapse? Things like that. And then she said, no, I didn't relapse. And he just doesn't understand. He doesn't understand how this happened. If she hadn't relapsed, if she hadn't taken any substances, what happened? And she was just explaining to him she didn't know how or what went on or what happened. So he stated to her, I'm going to come and get you. I am going to cut the video here. This is a really long book. I don't want to leave out any of the details. So I will be making a part 2 of this video. You're going to want to stick around and tune in to the next video, because what you think you know, you have no idea. There's so many twists and turns when it comes to this book. You're going to absolutely want to tune back in. I thank you so much for getting to the end of this video, and don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to comment, and come back, share, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.